Adam, point of.
Okay, so we're now recording. I would like to welcome everybody to the first of our monthly trainings that we're going to be doing. Remember, we're going to have a training like this on the last Sunday of every month at 3 o'clock. The topics will vary. They will all be listed in our directories, and you will get reminders through your club by email, and I will also post them on Facebook. But it will be the same invite that we're using for this. So it should not be confusing. Just put it on your calendar, and it's a variety of topics, and we have a variety of instructors. I wanted to make it a little bit more diverse this time. So for this class today, the class is 501c3s. Our instructor is Lion Tim Nelson. Now, Tim is a brand new Lion. He is a member of the Rachel Club, the once or the I'll call it defunct Rachel Club because they went down to 0 members. They're back.
2.0.
They're back. What's that?
2.0.
I'm sorry.
Rachel 2.0.
This is 2.0. That's correct. So Tim, Kathy was a member of the Rachel Club.
I was the
So now
guiding lion.
Fantastic.
So
Thank you.
Kathy is now a member. Kathy is now a member of Breakfasters, correct?
Right.
And Tim is now the secretary for the Rachel Club. But here's the beauty: Tim is also a CPA, and so
Nice.
I was racking my brain trying to find somebody who could give this class. And then I was talking to Tim about something unrelated, and I said, "Hey, Tim, what are the chances that you would be willing to give a class on 501c3?" He said, "Oh, I'd love to." And within about 5 minutes, I had a PowerPoint in my inbox.
Oh, nice.
So anyway, we're gonna go ahead. I just had somebody else enter the room. Hold on. Okay. So Tim, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, more than I've given, and then we'll get started. You can start whenever you feel like it.
Absolutely, yeah. So thanks, Adam. My name's Tim Nelson, like he already said. I own a CPA firm here in Reno, Nevada. We employ about 16 people. I have the firm in its current iteration for about 16 years, but I've been doing this for 34 years now. And unlike a lot of CPAs, I have a personality. I had my stick surgically removed many years ago, and so got a good time. I spent about just over 10 years out in the public, running companies and doing that kind of thing. And then I came back to Reno, which is where I was born and raised. Mom and dad were getting older. Opened up my own CPA firm in 2009. And away we went. So like I said, we've got about 16 employees. We do about 1,300, 1,400 tax returns, a couple of dozen financial statements, financial stuff. So been involved in not-for-profits all my life, on the board, very many different stuff. So now just volunteering my time this afternoon, and specifically for the Lions Club, not necessarily Rachel's Lions Club.
Well, thank you, Tim. Really appreciate it. And so one of my goals was to have subject matter experts on these different topics. In fact, one of our attendees, Marie, is going to be teaching one of our classes coming up on QR codes at a later date. So anyway, Tim, you're on. You know how to share screen and do all of that stuff, correct?
Yep, I just didn't know if you were going to or if I was, but now I know what the answer is.
Oh, okay. I guess we should have discussed that, but we didn't. So
it says sharing is not turned on. Would you enable sharing at the bottom of your screen there?
Yes, I will. Hold on just a second. Maybe I will. Let's see.
There's that green up arrow in the right-hand side. You should have a little button that goes
I got
up.
it.
Then it should say.
Well, it says that One participant can share at a time. Multiple participants can share. Hold on about a half second. Okay. We should be able to go now.
Got it. Okay.
There you go.
And we're there.
Okay.
All right, everybody see that first screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect,
Yes, I
perfect.
can.
All right, so of course, today is the conversation specifically about 501c3 and 501c4 organizations, what they are not, how they're alike, how they're not, and why it's important to all of us at the Lions Club. Supposed to be sliding. There we go. All right, our friends at the IRS, and I'll use that term lightly depending on where you are, but our friends at the IRS will authorize an organization to be a tax exempt organization 30 different ways. So it's not enough to just say, hey, I'm a not-for-profit. You actually can be multiple different types of not-for-profit with different obligations and privileges associated with that. So like I said, we're going to be distinguishing between the 501c3 and 501c4 and talking about why that matters, and then what the implications are for donors, for the tax treatment, and any political activity that may or may not happen within the organization. A 501c3 is the most popular type of charity. We've all heard of 501c3 organizations. They focus primarily on charitable, on religious, on education, scientific. A lot of the big scientific organizations are tax exempt. Literary, which is one you don't hear too often, or other very, very specific charitable purposes. They're usually limited to conducting the affairs under which they were formed. So for example, the Church of Adam could only exist for religious purposes, or the Hospital of Kathy could only exist for medical purposes. So very, very restricted in what they can and can't do if they're formed for a very specific issue. On juxtaposed, 501c4 organization, which is what Lions Clubs are. They're called social welfare organizations, and the purpose is much more broad. They promote the common good and the general welfare of the community. So you can see various kinds of civic leagues that become 501c4s. AARP is a 501c4. Any type of volunteer fire department and some kinds of homeowners associations. They don't have to have a specific purpose if they're a 501c4, and their reach can be broader. Some of you who are more politically oriented, this was big at the national level of politics. 501c3 organizations have to declare who their significant donors are on their tax returns, whereas 501c4s don't. So a lot of the big political organizations will create a 501c4 so they don't have to say who contributed to those 501c4 organizations.
Oh.
Some of the similarities between a 501c4, of course, they're both tax exempt, meaning that they do not have to pay federal income taxes on the amount of money that they receive during the year. They're both not-for-profits. They both exist in the not-for-profit structure. Both of them have to operate for the public benefit. And each of the 501c3 and 501c4 organizations are required to file an annual Form 990. Now, happy to answer more specific questions about that kind of at the end of the presentation, because the type of 990 that you might file depends on what revenue the organization brings in. But in each case, all 990 not-for-profit organizations have to file 990s. Adam, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. Dollar amount.
Kathy, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Kathy.
Dollar amount on how much. I've got one club that's not doing an awful lot. If they're making $5,000 a year, do they still need to file a 990?
Very, very good question. The answer is yes. The IRS didn't want that to happen for a number of years because it was an administrative nightmare for them. So they originally said clubs under 50,000 did not have to file 990s. And then what would happen is some of these clubs, some of these organizations would go out of business. And the IRS didn't know which ones were in business and which ones weren't. And so if a club is under 50,000 nowadays, they have to file what's called an e-postcard. It's literally half a page signed by any officer that says, I verify this club didn't make more than 50,000 in revenue a year. And that's the extent of your tax filing, called a 990N or e-postcard.
Thank
And
you.
then a little bit more information that maybe you didn't want, but I'll give to you anyway. If an organization is between $50,000 and $250,000 in donations, it's got to file the EZ form. So the 990 EZ is about 4 pages long, basically, again, so that the IRS knows that it's in business, that it made more than 50,000, and there's about a page of questions in addition to the financial information. And then if any not-for-profit organization receives more than 250,000, I know occasionally, for example, a Lions Club might get a inheritance, a charitable bequest out of somebody's estate. And if that happens to be over 250,000 for a calendar year or a fiscal year, depending on which one you follow, then you got to do the full 990, which is 16 pages and potentially additional schedules and that kind of thing. So most clubs under 50,000 bucks, that simple little postcard. Clubs between 50 and 250, the easy form, and anything over 250, you got to go the whole enchilada.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Tim, I have a question. What happens if a Lions Club making, well, let's just say because the average is making under 50,000, what if they don't file that 990N? Can you tell us what happens?
Absolutely. Yep. Good question, Adam. So IRS has a 3-year forgiveness window. So if you don't file for the first year, IRS sends you a lovely notice to the last known address and the last known officer that filed the 990. If you don't file for a second year, the IRS sends another thing to the last known information that they have and say, hey, now you haven't filed for 2 years. If you don't file for a third year, we will suspend your tax exempt status until you go back and kind of make good on all those prior years. So if you haven't filed for 3 years, they go, hey, we haven't heard from you. We don't even know if you're still around. We're going to suspend your tax exempt status. And then in order to get back into good news or good graces rather with the IRS, there's a special form you have to file, and you have to go back and file all your back tax returns. And so it could be the longest ones I've done is, I think, 7 or 8 years in order to get a tax exempt organization back in good graces with the IRS. I heard Kathy,
Kathy,
Yeah. What about those clubs that have not bothered to get a
What am I
501
doing?
anything?
Oh, hold on just a second. I'm going to say again now.
What about those clubs
Kathy,
that
go
do
ahead.
not have a 501(c) anything?
So IRS,
Well-
if you, oops, go ahead, Adam.
Every Lions Club is automatically under the umbrella of Lions International and is automatically a 501(c)(4). You don't have to do anything. Simply by chartering a Lions Club, you become a 501(c)(4).
But we don't get
almost.
connected in if we miss.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear what you said, Kathy.
If we haven't filed our 990, how are they going to catch us?
Yep. So here's the real answer. You don't have to form a separate corporation. You don't have to form a separate legal entity in the state that you're in. But you're not, when you go get a tax ID number for your local club and you're operating under the tax ID number of that local club, you're not necessarily recognized by the IRS yet as being tax exempt. There's a second form you have to send in to our friends in Covington, Kentucky, very close to our friend down in Tennessee that's on there earlier. But it's a second form, which is actually what the process I'm doing with the Rachel Lions Club. We had to go get another tax ID number. The old one either hadn't been used or couldn't be found. So we went and got another tax ID number. Now we have to file a 1023 form, and it's a 1023 EZ. So it's 2 pages, 3 pages. but you basically copy a lot of the stuff that we have already in the Lions Club charter. You send it off to, again, the IRS in Covington, Kentucky. And if you're planning on making less than that 50,000, then within 2-3 months, you'll get another letter back from them saying, all right, now this tax ID number is approved as a tax ID exempt entity, as well as the general Lions Club itself.
So I can tell you from personal experience, our club lost our 501c4 status. We did our 990N in 2010 and didn't do it again until I realized that we hadn't done it in like 2016, 2017. So we had been suspended. They sent us a letter, said we were suspended. We went through that entire process that Tim described, and it cost us $600. And I can tell you that if you try to bypass the $600, they won't even look at your application. So we sent them a check. We sent all the information in. I think it took 6 weeks. It was pretty quick turnaround, maybe 8 weeks, and we had our status back. But it is a process.
And just make sure that that gets sent certified, because occasionally the IRS loses mail.
Does Rachel owe money?
We went with a new tax ID number, so it won't owe the back numbers.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're not sure how that's going to play out eventually.
As the
because
last
the-
treasurer of Rachel, I want to know.
Well, you know what? I'll give you a call after this class, and we can
Okay.
talk more specific about that.
Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right. We just talked about the similarities. We might as well talk about the differences of 501c3s versus 501c4s. Again, I touched on it very, very briefly, but 501c3s are the moniker of 501c3s is a public charity. And 501c3s are typically required to receive more than 2/3 of their annual revenue from the general public rather than any particular groups.
Oh.
Whereas on the other hand, 501c4s, by the nature of their social welfare status or their nature of, hey, doing good in the community, are often membership based, and we receive the majority of our revenue usually from either dues or similar activities, something along those lines. And because it's a very focused group, it's a very particular group, we're not considered necessarily the general public, where we receive 2/3 of our annual revenue from the general public. Key differences on donation and taxes, very, very important, because a lot of times people, including the president of the Rachel Lions Club, my sister Lisa Nelson, was starting to tell everybody, yeah, write a check to the Rachel Lions Club. It's totally tax deductible. 501c3 deductions are deductible for charitable tax purposes for donors, and 501c4 organizations are not deductible for donors. Now, why there's a little bit of a caveat in this, because if, for example, you're doing it as a business deduction, you might still be able to deduct it as a business deduction. Hey, I'm doing this to try and get more business in addition to being doing my charitable work, that kind of thing. But if you're trying to put it on your taxes as a tax deductible donation for a charitable organization, 501c4 are not. They derive it's essentially dues that you're paying, not charities. Then we talked about a little bit there on that donor disclosure. Again, very, very important for big public organization or big charitable organizations that 501c3s have to report their public donations, their significant donor disclosure, but the 501c4s do not. In a political activity, if you're a 501c3 organization, again, that public charity, they want you to focus on doing good. If you're a church, they want you to focus on doing good in the church. If you're a hospital, they want you to focus on being a hospital. And so the political activity is pretty much limited. Very, very limited lobbying activities you can do, and no political activity, political campaigning allowed inside a 501c3 at all. Inside of a 501c4, the lobbying is allowed if our primary activity is social welfare, and most of our clubs are. I put that in there because some 501c4 organizations are not, their primary charitable or primary tax exempt purpose is not social welfare. And then a political campaign, again, is permitted as long as it's not the primary focus. Generally speaking, I'm guessing you don't want to do that anyway, even though it's limited or permitted rather, political campaigns. But Kathy, if you want to run for governor, I'm all in supporting you. In a compliance and oversight standpoint, the 501c3 organizations require a lot more organization or disclosure about the activities and their donors to ensure that they're operating for a charitable purpose. The big one a few years ago was the Church of Scientology, and they were trying to not disclose a bunch of their activity. IRS was threatening to take away their status as a church because they weren't disclosing the activities. But 501c3, because of the nature of a public charity, they absolutely are required to disclose a bunch more about their activities and their donors. Conversely, on the 501c4 organizations, they don't really have to disclose nearly as much, and certainly don't have to disclose their donors. But despite these the differences, both of these organizations have to file annually to retain their tax exempt status. And as importantly, if we're a little organization, less than 50 grand in our fiscal year, just to let the IRS know that we're still in existence. So if you're forming a new organization and you want to go down that confusing deal, you start with 501A, which is the tax exempt statute, or with a provision that allows the IRS to have any type of tax exempt organization. And if you want to choose a 501c3 because you want tax deductible donations and you won't engage in political activity, or if, again, it's a broader purpose, it's a general welfare, it's the good of the community, choose a 501c4. If you plan to engage in advocacy, or you're allowed to do limited political activity, and you don't necessarily need tax deductible donations. And remember, very, very important point, the organization still receives its items tax-free. It just doesn't result in a charitable contribution for the people that make that contribution.
Hey, Tim, can I just make a point here? Make sure, folks, because you are a 501c4, that when you go out and maybe you buy office supplies or something for your club, make sure that they know that you're a 501c4. Okay? If you have to have some documentation for that, print off something small that you can carry around or whatever, and make sure that you're taking advantage of those benefits that come along with being a 501c4. And if you ever need proof that you are a 501c4, I want you to give me a call. I've got a letter from Lions International from 1942, and that's what they provide everyone, that says that we fall under the umbrella of Lions International.
Adam,
Yes, Jim.
in Nevada, Breakfasters has a state Nevada tax ID where we don't pay sales tax when we go buy stuff for then we donate. Is that something that we always need, Tim? Is something from the state to get tax deductions on what we purchase, then to donate to a charitable organization?
Yep, it's a one-time $100 fee to the state of Nevada, and then they actually give you a tax exemption certificate within the state of Nevada. Yep.
And we have to renew it like every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, yep. Just again, are you still there, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
So super simple summary table. 501c3 tax deductible donations. If you're going to do political activity, it's limited to none. The primary purpose can be charitable or religious or educational or even literary, but very, very specific to their purpose. They do have to disclose their donors. Sorry, that chart's wrong. The 501c4 organizations, again, not tax deductible donations to the donor. Political activity limited, some permitted, and then the purpose is the general good or the social welfare of the community. but we don't have to disclose our donors on our tax returns each year. And because this is where I usually get the most vibrant or the most diverse stuff, I wanted to put a little bit of Q&A at the end. So I'm happy to open it up to any question that you guys are experiencing with the clubs, whether it's related to 501c4 organizations or not. So kind of open it up, whatever you guys just throw it on out there.
Well, let me start off by saying, can you give us kind of a smattering of how, if a club decided they wanted to be a 501c3, how would they go about doing that?
Good.
I mean,
So
it may be longer process, but
No, you're exactly right. So in fact, some clubs will have sister charitable organizations so that people can receive charitable deductions for that. A 501c3 organization, you basically start at the Secretary of State. You form a domestic not-for-profit corporation. In the state of Nevada, it's literally $50 to be able to do that. You get a tax ID number, which you can pay somebody to do, or online with the IRS takes about 10 minutes. Make sure that you're getting a 501c3 tax ID number, public not charity. And then that will give you kind of a provisional status. And like we talked about before, the IRS will give you up to 9 months to get your tax ID, your tax exempt tax ID approved as a tax exempt organization with the IRS. And then you fill out that form 1023, 1023. And again, it's about a 3-page form. You fill it in, mail it into the IRS with their user fee. Adam said $600. I'm going to say it's $800 these days, but somewhere in that organization. And then somewhere between 2 months and whenever the IRS gets back to you, they'll tell you, hey, you either screwed up on your 1023, we have some additional questions, you are approved, or in very, very rare organizations, they'll actually outright deny you. I've only seen that in our tax newsletters and things like that, where I've never, knock on wood, experienced it personally. But most of the time, they'll either approve you outright, especially if you're a small organization, or if you are a medium-sized organization, whatever, they may have some more questions for you, like what do you think your budget's going to be the next 3 years and things like that.
now, is it true that once you decide to do that, that it has to, the 501c3, you may have a board of directors for your club, but you have to have a board that oversees that 501c3, correct?
Yes, completely separate entity. So 2 tax filings, 2 everything, one for the 501c3 and then one for the regular club.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question from Marie Manning. And folks, if you have a question, go down at the bottom under the chat area, I believe. Wherever, no, in the where is it? Anywhere where you raise your hand.
It's in React. It's in React.
It's in React then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And raise your hand and we'll call on you. Go ahead, Marie.
Thank you. 2 questions. One, can our boards be the same? Can we use the same people for both entities, Tim?
You absolutely can, but you have to hold separate meetings, and there has to be a conflict of interest policy on both organizations, stating that if you're doing business for one or you're interacting with one, it either has to be disclosed to the other organization, or you have to be able to put the nature of the activity between the two, so that there's no funny business going on between the charitable and the non-charitable, or the public charity and the non-public charity.
Great answer.
Awesome.
Thank you. My other question, what if you go beyond that 9 month on that 1023? Do you start over? What happens here?
Yep. Like anything, the IRS has what's called a bright line test. And so it's not even 9 months, it's 270 days. So you watch some of those 31 months versus the 30 months.
Okay.
But if you go back beyond that 9 months, then the IRS by default kind of throws you out and you got to start again.
You start over. Okay, thank you for that.
They'll be happy to take your extra $800.
I'm sure they will.
Kathy, I don't think you can find your hand, but I know you have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's a little wonky. all my time in Lions, I've been told because of the IRS, when we take money from the public, that the IRS says we have to put the money where we said we were going to. But if they don't get to deduct it, does that rule still apply, or is that a Lions rule?
It is a federal IRS rule. Let me give you a very, very public example. When the horrible events of 9/11 happened all those years ago, the American Red Cross set up a donation-specific organization for helping the families and helping the rebuilding from 9/11. And because of the overwhelming American support that happened then, they ended up with about 170 million more than they could spend. And so what ended up happening is they were limited. When a donor makes a specific bequest, you have to be able to use that only how the donor says. There's no other way. So because they weren't broad enough in their disclosure, they were stuck with all of this money and actually were asking the federal government, hey, can we get permission to use this even for other disasters? Because they were not limited. I mean, they couldn't use it for hurricanes and they couldn't use it for earthquakes and they couldn't use it for that. And so if you'll look at the big national charities, when they do, hey, please help for Hurricane Helene, please help for that kind of thing, the super, super little fine print now says, or other similar disasters or other similar activities so that you can be able to do that. So when you do your donor acknowledgements, if they're, again, over, there's certain limitations where you're supposed to send out a donor acknowledgement. For us, it's more than, I think, $1,000 an annual thing for a gift. They'll require an acknowledgement back from the charity, from the 501c4, from the Lions Club. And then you can actually put in there that says, or other similar activities, so that you can use it for things. But if they said, hey, you have to buy blue strawberries, which is kind of crazy, but if they put something like that, whatever it is, and they're adamant about that, then yep, you're limited to only spending those funds for that purpose. You might be
Even though
buying
they can't,
blue strawberries for the next 15 years.
even though they can't deduct it.
That's correct. Yeah, it's part of
Okay.
your commitment to be a tax exempt
Okay.
organization.
Okay.
Now, Kathy, I'm going to assume, I'm going to put words in your mouth. I'm going to assume that you're talking specifically about a donor that says, here's $1,000. I want it to go here. You're not talking, which in my experience in Lions is less frequent than the event that we may hold that raises $1,000 from the public.
Yeah.
We get those all the time. Now, where that money is supposed to go, is that your question?
Yes, because
Or
if
was
we
it,
put-
or did,
if we put on a card that says we are collecting money for shoes for third graders, and we take that money, it has to go to third graders, not kids that.
gotcha,
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, so you
Yeah.
were asking a very specific
Yeah.
question, because the more generalized question that we get all the time is, if we hold a raffle and we sell tickets to the public, does all of that money have to go back to the public?
Depends upon what it says on the ticket. If we commit that it's got to go back to the public, it's got to go back to the public, right?
Well, it may be a lot. Tim may be able to answer that better than I can, but the overriding thought is that if you sell only to Lions, then that money can go into your activities account, or it can go into your admin account.
Yeah.
Right. But if you sell to the public, then it's got to go into the activities account and can't be used for administrative costs.
The
Unless
way I
you're-
understand it,
Yeah.
the way I understand it, if you say this money is going to go here, you are structured to go there. If you say
No.
if it goes to general Alliance charities, then you're free.
Correct. Correct.
I think we're saying the same thing, just in a little bit different way.
Yeah. Once
Yeah.
once
Was
you,
I
once
was
you
I
say
correct,
where
Tim?
it's going to be, it's got to go there.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, a
Um,
lot of the people that are raising big dollar funds will put in the fine print that says or other similar activities. We call them God, it just slipped my mind. Program services. So anything we do will go to program services as opposed to administrative expenses, right? If I want to send Adam to the national convention and I want to be able to pay with that, I could do that, but that's generally an administrative expense as to opposed to a program service.
Unless you say at the bottom of your thing, I'm raffling off a ticket to NASCAR and it's going for Adam going to international.
Yeah, send
Right.
Adam away. I bet you we
Yeah.
could raise some good
I'm
funds.
I'm liking this conversation a lot because I want to go to the international convention next year, and I love NASCAR.
There you go.
Okay, so we have another hand up. Joe, you're muted.
Thanks, Adam. So in regards to filing for 501c3, the filing each year for tax purposes, is it still the 990 and does it still go into the 990N, easy, and or above $250,000, the full 990?
Yes, absolutely. But remember, it's a second tax return. You got to do one for the regular club and you have to do one for the public charity.
Okay, thank you. And a second question is in regards to the board. Is it what is the objective of the board overseeing the 501c3? Is it similar in respects or what specific focus do they have?
Think of it rather that they're wearing two separate hats. So
Understood.
they're serving as a board of the Lions Club and they're serving as a board of the 501c public charity. And so that's why when Marie was asking the question, I'm like, hold separate meetings, even if they're, you know, sequential to each other, that kind of thing. But it's actually two different organizations. And so if I was working for Microsoft and GE, I might be working for both organizations, but I got to be cognizant of which hat I'm wearing at any given time.
Right. So if you're wearing the hat of the board for the 501c3, is the mission to ensure that the monies that were raised are going to those specific funds that it was raised for? Is there anything else beyond that?
Nope, very, very limited. So when you get your 501c3 tax exempt status, it's charitable, right? We're going to help the homeless. We're going to bring vision to anybody, whatever, you know, we're doing bikes, any of that kind of stuff, whatever it is. But whatever your specific purpose that you ask the IRS for that public charity, that's what it has to be related to. So when you raise funds in that 501c3, it's got to be very, very specific to whatever you ask the IRS for permission when you set it up.
And is there a minimum number of meetings for that same board, or is it once a year to audit, so to speak?
The IRS does not require the board to meet at all. The state of Nevada mandates for everybody except for Mr. Tennessee. I'm sure that Tennessee is very, very similar, but the state of Nevada mandates that it has to be at least one per year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so thank you very much, Joe. Josh and Chris and then Casey, I'll get to you next.
Okay, so when you set up the 501c3, do you put it under the same name and then just the different tax ID number, or do you have to have a completely different name? For example, Winnemucca Lions, and then can you set this 501c3 as the same name, or do you have to change it or alter it a little?
Yeah, so if it's formed in, because we have that legal organization that we all use, the National Lions Club International Organization. So any of your 501c3 organizations have to be just a little bit different. I've seen, for example, Lions Club International Winnemucca, I think you just said, Foundation, Lions Club Winnemucca, public charity, or something specific so that everybody can kind of keep it straight in their heads. But it's got a different name with the Secretary of State.
That obviously means a separate bank accounts then.
Yep. GE and Microsoft or whatever, right? Completely different organization.
And now when you get the donations, you know, for example, ours, we have issues with getting donations from the mines because they have a lot of things they want to write off, but do they specifically direct? Do they have to specifically direct where the money's going, or is it just?
They do not. It can be a general donation from their heart. But as I talked about very, very briefly in the PowerPoint, if they're looking for a charitable donation, that doesn't work. If they want a business deduction, they actually, the 501c4 might still, or probably still does qualify as a business deduction for them.
They do get deducted because we were under the impression they couldn't do it as a business deduction.
Yeah, so for example, if Tim Nelson, the CPA, paid his Lions Club dues and said, listen, or rather my firm is paying the dues, and I'm doing that not only because I want to do good in the community, but I also want to network and I want to get business connections and that kind of thing. I can make the argument to the IRS that Evans, Nelson and Company CPAs gave that donation to the Lions Club because I was going to do advertise or networking. Therefore, it's kind of an advertising or a business promotional type deduction. The rules for that are different than the charitable.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chrissy and Josh. Casey, you're up. You're muted.
Okay, so Tim, from your perspective as a CPA, as an accountant, do you think that it's beneficial for a club to be both, or do you think that it causes more paperwork and filing than is necessary?
Okay, so you just asked two questions. Yes, absolutely, it's going to be more paperwork, absolutely going to be more filing. It's actually definitely going to be more PETA, right? And that kind of thing. And the question that then you have to ask yourself is, as a club, are you missing out on things because people want to donate to a charitable organization? So if you're really missing out on stuff, or if people are, because people are, I mean, Lions, right? We contribute because we're part of the club. We're doing good. We know what the intangible benefit we're getting out of that, whatever it is. But if I'm gonna throw 50,000 at something, making up a totally random number or whatever it is, then a lot of people will say, hey, I want a tax benefit, or I'm trying to get a tax benefit out of this as well. And if that's the thing and they otherwise wouldn't contribute to you, then absolutely. Only thing you guys got to determine is, as a club, is there somebody willing to kind of champion this and go through all the administrative garbage that you have to go through in order to make it actually happen? I've even seen 501c4, I've seen Lions clubs, organizations, whatever it is, that just essentially partner with a different public charity so they don't have to do it themselves, and said, hey, we're going to raise this money at this event, or we're going to raise this money, whatever it is. Any, the local charity that we partner with agreed that you guys can contribute for the month of August coming up, whatever it is. As long as you identify it coming from a Lions Club, then we'll put it towards this specific purpose. And then you don't have to do the administrative stuff. You're just basically partnering with the public charity.
Okay. And then I have another question that, so Adam, you and I have talked about this, but Kathy mentioned, when we do the July 4th party in the park. We're selling to the public hot dogs or sodas, a ride on a cow cart or whatever. Now, Adam, at the last meeting that you were at here, I brought it up and you said, well, technically that has to go back to your programs account. But what I heard from Kathy, unless I heard it wrong, is that if you identify on that event flyer or something, that it can be used for an administrative purpose, sending Adam to NASCAR or whatever. I just want to make sure I'm really clear on that.
Are you asking me or are you asking Tim?
I'm asking whoever's got the answer I want. How's that?
Gotcha.
What answer do you
That
want?
was a good. Yeah, you're going to get different answers, I think.
Okay.
I can tell you what.
Can I answer that?
Yes, Irving.
All right. Casey, first of all, if anything that any fundraiser you do, okay, that's going to go to the administrative account, you must advertise it that it's going to the administrative account. All
Okay.
right. Okay. Absolutely. You just can't have a hot dog and hamburger fundraiser and people think it's going to the Lions charities that your club donates to. All right. If it's going to sending you to the international convention, for example, you have to advertise that
Okay.
on your tickets or a sign, but by your booth or whatever, that's exactly where the money's going to, so people know it's not going to your charitable donations, it's going to your private Lions activity, or
Okay.
going, directly to someone in your club.
All right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Are you more clear,
Thank
Casey? Because I am.
I
Well-
am.
Let me add to that part of that. We don't advertise it necessarily as a fundraiser. I mean, is that something we could do as a function of, this is a community service we're doing? We're putting on, hosting a party in the park so everybody can hang out
It's
for
a
the 4th of
service
July.
project
So we kind of consider it a service project,
for the community.
but, we asked for the food vendors to put pay a small fee, and is that, different than fundraising, or does that still have to?
Is it a net revenue
fundraiser.
raiser for the club? Is
Yes,
net positive to the club?
yes.
Yep, then the answers that I heard from the other people then apply. So if you're intending on doing it as a benefit, and therefore the club ends up spending money rather than raising money, then effectively it's the general benefit, it's the general welfare of the community. You don't have to do any of that. If in fact you're going to raise money from it, if you're going to be a net positive, then all the answers that I said, that you got to be clear about how you're going to spend the money, all still apply. Yep.
Okay.
The best answer to that is that if you're taking money in, it's a fundraiser. Okay. And you have to advertise it as a fundraiser. If it's a service project, all right, then you don't take any money in. Your club is spending the money to help the community.
Oh,
Perfect. So real
That's
quick,
good
before we
to
get
know.
to your I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Before we get to your question, Irving, we have a comment here from Marie. She says Elko partnered with the Elko Community Foundation when we had the fire in 2019. So that goes to what Tim was saying. You could partner with another organization as well if that's what you chose to do.
That's a super easy way for clubs to not, to Casey's point, to not have to have the administrative paperwork and all the hassle of running their own public charity. Just find one that does what you want to do, and then go and be the champion for that particular whatever you're going to do.
Perfect. So Irving, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. First, in response to Casey and her first question, I think it was Casey who wanted to know if it was worthwhile becoming a 501c3. Our club is a 501c3, and we found that it was easier to solicit donations, especially from businesses, when you're a 501c3, because they know it could be a personal tax deduction for them. And secondly, to Tim, yes, there is a lot of paperwork because you have to file with the state of Nevada once a year, paperwork indicating who your officers are and also how much income and expenses you've had for the year. So yeah, there is more. It's not very difficult, and it costs you $50 a year to to do that. I would recommend that if you do become a 501c3, that your fiscal year be from July 1st to June 30th to mimic Lions International Year, because we change officers in July, so you only have to file with the state your officers once a year, rather than file once for your officers and file once for your fiscal year if it's different than July 1st to June 30th. But I want to make sure I didn't misunderstand, Tim, what you said. Do you have to have separate accounts for the 501c3 and the 501c4, or can you just commingle the two of them?
Because the IRS gives tax exemption differently for the 501c3 and the 501c4 organization, if you have then established a 501c3 separate from your 501c4, then yep, you have to have separate bank accounts, one for the 501c3, at least one for the 501c3 and one for the 501c4 organization. What I heard you say is you actually took your local club ID and made that a public charity. Did I hear that correctly?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I just wanted to know your tax ID number for your local club. When you went to the IRS to get the tax exemption, it sounds like, I was just confirming, it sounds like you guys got the tax ID for your local club as a 501c3 organization. Is that correct?
Correct.
Got it.
Yes.
So in
Okay,
that case,
well,
there is no.
no, go ahead.
No, you're perfect. Go ahead, Adam.
Thank you, Irving. David, I saw you had your hand up earlier. Do you still have a question?
It was talked about. It was concerning the need to put a name to your 501c3, like the foundation that was mentioned. I guess it's not necessary, but it's helpful.
Yeah. And folks, real quick, David, if you weren't here, David is from Kentucky, but was a member of the Summerlin Lions at one point. And so he contacted me and asked if he could come to the training. And I said, absolutely. We would love to have anybody from anywhere. So thanks for coming, David.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Does anybody have any further questions for Tim, for myself? Okay. Well, not seeing any. I just want to thank everybody for showing up. We had 15 people on this training, and that is fantastic. So what I did was I really quick looked up what our next training is going to be, and it's going to be conflict resolution. And conflict resolution will be the last Sunday of August at 3 p.m. this same invitation. So please, I'd love to see all of you here. I would love to have you talk about the fact that we have this wonderful training. And it was actually very quality training. And get some people to conflict resolution, if you would, please. Now, before we end up wrapping this whole thing up, I want to let you know that we've got some pretty high-powered speakers for this coming year. As an example, one of the classes we're going to be doing is AI and how to use that within your club. And we have PDG Daniel Marnie Elkins is going to be the instructor for that. So you may not know Daniel Elkins, but if you are within the Lions community and want to know, just ask. The guy is phenomenal. We also have one gentleman's a past district governor from Canada. We have a past international director that's going to be teaching one of our classes. So it's going to be an exciting year, and I just want to thank everybody. Now you're going to see your names. Yes. Yes.
Adam, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead. No.
The fourth Sunday in August, we'll be coming home from the cabinet meeting. Is it possible to have it on the 5th Sunday? There is a 5th Sunday in August.
Well, then it will be on the 5th Sunday. It will be on the last Sunday of that month.
which is the 31st.
Is that
It
Labor
is
Day
the
weekend?
31st.
But
That's when it
also
is.
Labor
Yep.
Day weekend. No, it's not. Labor Day
Yep.
is the next.
So we'll be good.
Okay.
So anyway, folks, I really appreciate it. You will see your names listed on our Facebook group as attendees to this training. I want everybody to see who all attended these things and have them go, wow, I really want to have my name listed on that Facebook group as well as somebody who attended this. So if that's okay with you, I hope it is. I'm just going to go forward with it. David, thank you so much for showing up. And please tell your friends back in Kentucky that they're welcome to any of these. We would love to have them show up. Tim, I want to thank you for being such a great presenter. You knew everything. You answered every question without hesitation. And I just want to say thank you for all of us.
My pleasure.
Okay. So folks, once again, I'm going to stop the recording, but then we're going to post this on our brand new YouTube channel, and I'll put that out so that everybody can see that. And by the end of the year, we will have 12 of these posted there. So if somebody from your club wants to see it, they can certainly just log on and see it. Okay. All right. Well, folks, you have a great time this coming week. I'm actually leaving on a cruise, as are several people in this group. On Wednesday, we're leaving for Baltimore, Maryland, to hit out to Bermuda. So out to Bermuda. Yes, we're gonna have a good time. So anyway, folks, thank you so much. Hope to see all of you next month.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay,
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a fun trip.
Oh, we will. Thank you.
I know.
And to everybody, guys, everybody.
Bye,
Thank
Casey.
you.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Right.
Happy trip, guys.
Happy trails to you.
Leaving.
No.